What's good, peeps? What is good? All right, before we start, I just want to say a massive thank you to a long-time subscriber who sent me this wonderful bottle of Scotch whiskey. This is the first time I'm ever drinking this. I think it's called Talisker. And as you can see, I've already started drinking quite a bit of it. It is amazing. Thank you to Articulate Design who sent me this a couple of days ago. Much appreciated. It makes the stuff I've got over there taste like dog shit. It really does. This is good. It really is good. I was going to have a glass, but I've already had quite a few glasses and it is very, very late. So thank you so much to Articulate Design for sending me that over. All right, let's talk. Let's quickly talk about Canelo versus Callum Smith. There is quite a few stories to get through, but we'll get through Canelo versus Callum Smith first. It is the big fight coming up on the weekend, although we have Gennady Golovkin fighting on Friday, but this is definitely the big one. Remember, this fight is on DAZN. I think it's $199 for the month. And you're going to get Golovkin and then you get Canelo versus Callum Smith. Take my money. Well, I'm not happy to pay, but take my money. I'm definitely not going to be streaming that. That is definitely going to be bought. Did you guys, I'm sure all of you have seen it now, the face-off. I mean, the size difference is incredible. And sometimes size does matter. I know a lot of people are saying size doesn't matter just because Canelo is that damn good, but size should matter. And I think it will matter. I don't think it will matter to the point where I think Callum Smith wins, but I do think it will matter to the point where it will take, or it should take, Canelo some working out how to get inside of Callum Smith's reach. He will do it. We know he will do it because Canelo just is that damn good. But Callum Smith should just use his reach here. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, right? But he's going to have a massive, massive reach advantage. He is a good boxer. He has a good boxing IQ. But in Canelo, we are talking about a complete fighter. You know what? Let's have a glass, eh? The glass is there. It's just, the glass is staring at me. It's right in front of me. So you know what? It's getting late, but we'll have a glass. Neat, obviously. You don't mix this with anything. 2 secs, peeps. That is goodness. Yeah, so to me, Canelo is complete. I don't know anything he can't do. I was actually thinking about this before I started the video. What is Canelo not good at? I can't think of anything. Like some people will say his footwork's not good. There's a difference between having really good fast feet and having good footwork. Knowing how to close the distance, knowing how to almost walk your opponent down, not to the point where you're just following them around the ring, but when you close off the ring. He knows how to do that very, very well. He can take a punch. Golovkin has cracked him. Was that Peak? Yeah, it was. Peak Golovkin cracked him. This guy didn't budge. So he can take a punch. He's got knockout power. He's got ring generalship. He's got ring experience. He's now going through the weight classes. He lives the life, it seems. He's the richest boxer on the planet. What doesn't he have? He has everything. Honestly, the richest boxer on the planet means nothing, but he has every other thing. So Callum Smith's got a lot to deal with, but Callum Smith's got to use what he has, and he clearly has height and reach. He clearly does. What we did see, though, is when you get under that height and reach, i.e. John Ryder, and I know Canelo's probably going to be watching that fight, then maybe he does struggle to know how to deal with the inside fighting, but he's got an advantage here. And size surely should matter. I mean, it should, right? I think, personally, that 160 is Canelo's weight. That's his weight class. I think he's given away a lot at 168. I mean, we've seen it, right? He's given a lot of 168 in terms of size and maybe even strength, although he's a big boy. 175, he's maxing out. I don't think we'll see him at 175 again for the foreseeable future. And in Callum Smith, he's fighting a genuine 168 guy. Like Callum Smith really is a 175 guy. He's fighting a genuine 168 guy. He's not fighting guys that have moved up to 168. No, he's fighting a guy that literally was born 168. That's how big this guy is. Whereas fighters like Chris Eubank and Billy Joe Saunders obviously have moved up. So it's going to be a good fight. I do expect Canelo to eventually break him down. I mean, what someone was saying was that, yes, he's very big, but then the body area is now very big. And we know Canelo likes to bang to that body. He will get inside and he'll bang. And I think he's so trust his chin. Look, he's never a boxer, you know, where it's a case of to land one, I've got to take one. That's not what he's about. But I think he so trusts his chin that he will risk taking one to get inside to land his own and to get to work. And once he gets to work, man, he's frightening. He's frightening. But this isn't like a Kovalev. Some people have compared it to Kovalev because obviously Kovalev had that size as well. And maybe to Rocky Fielding because he had that size. Rocky Fielding, no disrespect, was coming for a payday. That's all he was coming for. I think I even heard rumours that Rocky Fielding called it quits, by the way, but I'm not quite sure. But Rocky Fielding was coming from a payday. Kovalev was washed, was absolutely washed. I mean, he had that fight so quick in terms of the turnaround from Yard, who nearly stopped him, to that one. He was washed. Callum Smith is coming fresh to do damage. And again, I spoke to Liam Smith, his brother, about 2 weeks ago, and I questioned a 4 or 5 week turnaround in terms of getting ready for this fight. And he said, no, he's been ready for 2 months. He's been getting ready for 2 months, so he's fine. He's fine on the weight. They've got a game plan. They knew that they were in the reckoning for this fight, and they've been training just in case they got that call. They got that call. They were all ready to go. So can't wait for it. I really can't wait for it. Remember, I said I was going to do a live. I'm not going to do a live on the day of the fight just because it's too late in the morning. But we will do a live. We might do a live Saturday evening talking about it. If not Saturday evening, we'll do one on Sunday. But I'll let you guys know. Look, check the community tab. I'll let you know there. In terms of percentage, you know, I always like to do that shit. Percentage in terms of what I think Callum Smith has. I think I said, I think it's a 35% chance, and I'm going to stick with that. I think it's a 35% chance. I think this is as tough a fight for Canelo. It's not though, is it? I was about to say it's as tough as the fight as, in terms of, nah, it's not. I was going to say something scandalous. I'm going to hold back on it. He's had tough fights, man. He's had tough fights. Yeah, he's had tough fights. I'll give Callum Smith a 35% chance. I'm so happy I didn't say what I was thinking of saying there. I'll give Callum Smith a 35% chance, and that's all I give. I want to see how he looks on the scales. He always does look good on the scale, never seems to struggle with the weight. But I'd like to see how he looks good on the scales. I'd like to hear a final interview of him, hear if he's nervous. He's going to be a bit nervous because this is obviously the big stage, and this is the real big stage. But he's unbeaten. He's a confident kid. And what I like about him, he's quiet. He's not boastful. He doesn't brag. He's just a quiet guy that gets on with his work. This is an interesting fight. 35% chance. Did you see Eddie Hearn's interview? I was going to do a separate video about this, but we don't have time. Did you see Eddie Hearn's interview when he spoke about basically saying that Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, it's not about the belts. It's bigger than that. And if the belts, in terms of the sanctioning bodies, the governing bodies kind of want to mess about, everyone can give their belts away. And I love that. I absolutely love that. I feel like, in fact, let's kind of break this down a bit before we understand. I fully understand like the belts, how important they are, and how right it is for someone who's put themselves in a mandatory position, how right it is for them to get their shot. That I understand. But nothing for me should get in the way. And I might contradict myself here, but nothing for me should get in the way of the big fight, the super fights, number 1 versus number 2, fights that are fights of the decade, fights of the year. Nothing should get in the way of that. No belts, no governing bodies, nothing. And I've always said that I don't necessarily care what belts are on the line for AJ versus Fury. Nothing or no belt is going to tell me this is number 1 versus number 2. I clearly know that. This is the fight of all fights. And if the WBO are trying to almost get in the way and say that AJ has to fight Usyk, I've said this, give Usyk the belt. Have it if you want it. If the WBC are trying to, or might even try, because obviously Wilder's going through the courts now, try and force Tyson Fury to fight Wilder again, give him the belt. This has nothing to do with the belts. This is all about the best versus the best. This is it. Again, I understand the mandatory position. I understand how someone's worked his way up and they deserve the opportunity. But I don't even really like the idea of what the WBO do, where the champion at the weight class below automatically becomes mandatory or number one for the weight class above. I don't like that. That's how Billy Joe Saunders got his shot and won the belt against, what was it, Shefa Isifu. I hate that. I don't think it's fair, and it doesn't make sense for me. But I like what Eddie Hearn's saying, and I guess it might have already started the dialogue as to how important belts are for these fighters and how important they are for us as fans. Like for me, I don't need to see a belt on the show. Maybe for a casual fan, they might need to see a belt on the line for it to kind of be a big fight in their head. It doesn't work like that for me. I do not care what belt's on the line. I do not care if it's an undisputed. I do not care if someone finishes the fight with 5 belts around their waist. I do not care. I just care to see the fights. And I think Eddie turned into fan Eddie rather than promoter and manage Eddie. And he just spoke the truth as a fan. Like, F the belts. If they play about, if they want to muck about, they can go. Because look, I think some of these belts, particularly the WBC, have far too much power in boxing now. They make belts for the sake of it. They make weight divisions for the sake of it. Who's giving them this power? Someone needs to remove some power from them. And I think the only way you remove power from them is almost by boxers doing what Riddick Bowe did. Throw that belt away. Don't need you. You know, I don't need your belt. Your belt does nothing to me. In fact, I make the belts. And it's true, I make the belts. Like, for example, how the hell is Manuel Char number 1 ranked in the WBA? You know what I mean? How? And that's what I'm talking about. Belts they're just shit nowadays. I really can't stand them. I honestly, they mean so little to me. I do not care. I just want to see the best versus the best, and that's all I care about. Like, even like WBC for this Callum Smith Canelo fight, all of a sudden it's for the WBC title. Like, how did that happen? And don't get me wrong, I think that's good. I actually think it's worth of it. It's worthy of it, sorry, but that it wasn't the case. They weren't going to fight for the title. All of a sudden, WBC have almost just randomly voted, like, okay, let's make this for the title. That's not how it should work. At all. At all, in fact. Oh, that is good. Get yourself a bottle, people. Talisker single malt Scotch whiskey. Get yourself. If anyone wants to send me more bottles, please email me. I'll give you my address. It's Christmas. Treat me. Treat me. All right. Should we quickly go through some stories so we can go to bed because it's getting late. It's just gone past midnight. Sergey Kovalev versus Bektimir Milikuziev on January 30th is a crossroads battle. I can't lie, I've not heard too much of Bektimir. But remember, Kovalev, by fighting Canelo, did get, I think, a 2-fight deal with DAZN, so this is part of it. So he's just trying to get his retirement money. Did you guys see the Hall of Fame inductees, the new Hall of Fame inductees? And it was a good list. People that missed out. Miguel Cotto missed out and James Toney missed out. People that were in is Vladimir Klitschko, I think, was in. Floyd Mayweather, obviously, and Andre Ward. And I think someone else. But James Toney is missed out. Toney, one of the best fighters of this generation, of his generation. And Miguel Cotto, my best fighter. Crazy, man. That's how hard it is to get in. All right, what else have we got here? I think my phone, let me just double check something. I think my phone went off. The phone that I'm recording with. Did it do something? No, we're still recording. Good. All right. Sorry. I know that noise is quite funny with a mic. Apologies. Canelo expects Callum Smith to seek revenge for brother. I keep forgetting that Liam Smith fought Canelo. That was about 3 years ago now. 2 secs. What else have we got? Is there anything else? Hearn on Joshua Fury. Some minor stuff to sort out, but all very resolvable. No one's going to tell me that Eddie Hearn doesn't want to make this fight. There's some weird individuals out there that feel like Eddie Hearn doesn't want to make the fight. Do you feel like Eddie Hearn doesn't want to make money or something? This fight is worth hundreds of millions. Do you think he just wants to milk Joshua for everything? Like, he's done quite well with Joshua. He wants to make this fight. And he knows it's a tough fight. Like, he will obviously try and sell the fight on the fact that, oh, AJ is going to win. He probably knows deep down that Fury's the favourite, but he wants to make this fight. I think we all said the same thing when it was Wilder Joshua. Like, oh, Eddie Hearn doesn't want to make the fight, he's ducking. Then ultimately, Wilder himself revealed that Eddie Hearn actually did want to make the fight, and Joshua wanted to make the fight. He wants to make the fight, people, and I think he actually will. I'm confident he will. Eubank Jr. I saw something about Eubank Jr. the other day about him and Caleb Plant, and then what I saw was deleted. So I'm not quite sure if that's actually happening. That's a good fight if it does happen. Eubank Jr. Canelo is a better version of John Ryder. Smith will have a lot of trouble. Doesn't work like that. I don't think that was a motivated Callum Smith. Not like he will be now. Don't get me wrong. Not making an excuse for him. I said John Ryder won, but I just think it doesn't work like that. I think he's going to be fired up and we're going to see the best Callum Smith. I think we're going to see a very good Canelo, and ultimately Canelo is going to win. But I do think we're going to see a very, very good Callum Smith. 2 seconds. Golovkin staying disciplined, refuses to look too far ahead. Obviously, he's got his fight against Zeramata, I think the guy's name is, on Friday. Little hype for that fight. 38 now, Golovkin, 38 years old. Still trying to make the 160 limit. Remember his last fight, I believe, was it at one? Or is he fighting at 164? One second. Just need to check something. Has he fought after Derevenchenko? I can't even remember. No, he hasn't. He hasn't. What fight did he have where he was 160? And 164, so I'm sure he had a fight where he was 164 pounds. Was it Steve Rolls? Might have been Steve Rolls. Oh, it was Steve Rolls. So at 38, Golovkin is going to still try and make 160 pounds. He's going to look awful on the scales. He looks awful on the scales. He looked bad at the scale at 163. So he's going to look awful on the scales at 160. He should have gone to 168 ages ago. Remember there was a time when, like, it's so sad when literally everyone thought Golovkin could literally kill everyone. Like, there was talk about him fighting Carl Froch, and Carl Froch kind of laughed it off like, no, I don't want to fight him. Even Andre Ward at the time, there was talk about him fighting Andre Ward at 168, and a lot of people thought he could beat Andre Ward. How quick the decline has happened is crazy. But he is 38, so we'll see. Usyk's manager, if Joshua vacates, it tells me he's scared to fight, sees big risk. No. If Joshua vacates, it's because he wants to fight Tyson Fury. Joshua's not scared of Usyk, man. This is the Usyk who didn't even look that good against Chisora. Like, let's cut the hype for a second, people. Let's relax. I think Usyk is good, but Usyk was okay against Chisora. He wasn't out. He wasn't like, oh my god, like this guy's amazing. He was just okay. Why would Usyk be scared of that? I mean, sorry, why would Joshua be scared of that? Stop it, man. If Joshua vacates, it's because Joshua knows, like, the bigger fight, the big money, and we're talking big money, is against Fury, and that's a legacy fight. Usyk's not a legacy fight. It's on the way to it, but it's not a legacy fight. Fury is a legacy fight. He beats Fury, AJ I'm talking about, then that's, I mean, you start to talk about him in like the greats of this generation of heavyweights. Do you know what I mean? And then there's an argument like, where does he go in terms of, I don't know, is he a top 25 heavyweight of all time? It's a bit much, actually. I don't know. I don't know. Might be, actually. Might be. You know, he's avenged the only person that beat him, and then he's beaten Fury. Everyone's so high on Fury. So that's the kind of fight he wants. Povetkin's promoter would like his boxer to retire after 2 more fights. That's interesting. Look, if he retires now, it's a great fight to go out of. You know what I mean? Great fight. Right? You just knocked out Dillian White. I mean, you could call it quits now if you want. I don't think he's in a position where he's going to get a world title fight anytime soon. But you never know, right? If he was to fight White again and beat White again, then he might be in a position where if the belts become scattered and vacant, he could fight for one and go off as a world champion. It's there. Golovkin warns De La Hoya that he would risk his life if they fought. Yeah, I saw Golovkin was asked about De La Hoya, and Golovkin, I think, said, I don't know if it was translated wrong, I haven't seen the actual interview, but I read it, and he said something along the lines of, boxing actually gives me permission to kill someone in the ring. Ouch. Let's move on from that very quickly. I don't think. Yeah, that's kind of it. We're going to leave it as that. There's other bits and bobs, but we'll leave it as that. What's this actually? Canelo Smith, DAZN partners with cable companies offering fight on pay-per-view. Less said about that, the best. So DAZN, who came out when they first started and their thing was pay-per-view is dead, and now like hooking up with pay-per-view companies or cable companies offering pay-per-view. Okay, peace.